All right, guys, welcome back. Today we're going to do a graphic. Is it a graphic novel? Probably. I don't know. This is a three-parter, by the way. It's called GLA, Act of God, Book 1 of 3 by Doug Munch, Dave Ross, George Freeman, Ben DiMagmali. I'm sorry if I butchered that. So, like I said, I'm doing some trade paperbacks and graphic novels and one-shots. This book made me really depressive because when I bought it, I thought, some kind of event, probably cool. And I must say, when I read it, I thought, oh man, there's absolutely no hope in this book. So without further ado, let me show you what I mean. And let's go. So basically, it's, people see our superheroes as gods, right? And we see Superman, there's some trouble with the dam. He is, it's about to break. He comes in. We have the Flash, and there's a guy that's shooting at a cop, and he's running. And then we have Sonar, or Sonar 2. I never liked this Sonar, by the way. I mean, the Sonar is just a guy with no shirt on and some technology. It looks, weird. But, Kyle comes in, Kyle Rayner. And we have Steel here. And they all do their superhero stuff, right? Battling foes. But then something happens, some kind of a cataclysm. And for one instant, the whole world turned black. Although for just a second. But then a lot of them losing their powers. Which doesn't make sense for Star Sapphire because as far as I know, Starfire's powers never come from the inside. But, this is Elseworlds, by the way. What do I know? Even the great Captain Marvel or Shazam, is turning back into Billy Batson. We have Metamorpho turning back into Rex Mason, right? Also computer crashes. We see Steel falling and Aquaman is basically drowning, right? So what's happening here? Well, nobody knows. But what we do know is that now that Flash lost his speed, the cop is killed. And Aquaman is still almost drowning. So Superman wants to still act because the dam is still not fixed. And he cannot use his X-ray vision to assess the flood water. And then the dam breaks. So he wants to get away, but he can't. He's completely helpless. Well, Green Lantern is getting his ass kicked by Sonar 2. Stupid name. Flash tries to stop the robber. He's faster than me. Can't overtake him. Can't catch him. He's getting away with murder, right? And that's not good at all. Superman really in pain because he's now feeling what a normal human feels, Kyle is getting, his ass kicked. Well, Sonar 2 is robbing a store. And Superman comes to the realization that he is now bleeding, which he normally can. And then we have Steel, being dragged into the hospital because, something wrong with him. Sonar 2 is bragging, right? He says, why don't you find yourself a new ring? But then Kyle says, come back, Sonar, and fight me. We're not finished yet. And he's losing conscious. Meanwhile, and this looks really great, right? All these people say, Superman, why didn't you save us? Why didn't you do something, right? The sun streams down as if breaking a new dawn, but a terrible one. All my power's gone. I'm mortal, vulnerable, and I failed. And that is the whole premise for this book, failing, and the consequences of superheroes failing while normally they save everyone, right? John here, Steel, is woken up and he has his arm is broken and he needs to get up because he needs to fix his armor and get into action. And then we see Booster and Blue Beetle. And Aquaman is going to John's apartment and he says, hey, you need to help me because there's something wrong with me. And John says, calm yourself, Arthur, I know, and you're not alone. Apparently it's all happened to all of us. I'm stuck in my original Martian form, unable to shift shape. And so Arthur said, I need to get back to my people, right? I need to know if they're alive. So they are using the teleporters to go to the moon, where the headquarters is. I mean, and then, well, we see all these superheroes. So the new Starman, Warrior, that is Guy Gardner, Troy, I guess, right? Yeah, Stargirl. So basically, this is what Henry is saying. He said, hey, we need to prepare for a power shift. Our big guns are down. Everyone whose power was internal and organic, whether from matter, gene or not, is now powerless. And those of us who derive our power sorely from technology must fill the breach and take up a lot of slack. That list includes you, John, but you're hurt. I'll mend, he says. So he's taking charge. Well, the other one with superpowers saying, hey, but what of the villains, right? So Batman comes in and he says, well, I never had powers, and as you know, and therefore I have nothing to lose. So he's saying that he is trying to, pick up the pace, and, the villains and the bad guys will be dealt with by, along with, the people that don't have powers. He says, as for the rest of us struggling with your loss, an investigation is already on the way, conducted by Oracle, and it should take 3 days. He says, until then, our loss may or may not be permanent. If it is, we have to learn to cope with it. In time, maybe answers will be found, and maybe not. Maybe some purpose will be revealed, maybe not. And maybe, just maybe, this will all prove to be a change for the better. How could it possibly be that, John? He says, I don't know, but perhaps no one should have powers above and beyond the rest of humanity. Perhaps it's not normal. We are the extra normal, super normal, and perhaps it wasn't right. You're saying we were wrong, John? After all the people we helped, we saved lives? Lives are saved every day by those who without powers, by doctors, policemen, rescue workers, the clergy. Yeah, but as you all know, I've come to love Earth as perhaps only an alien can. And what I cherish most are its human aspects, its culture, music, books, its native emotion. Now, with the loss of everything, that made me different. I feel as I could finally lose myself in that humanity. If I weren't trapped in this bizarre Martian form. So they try to console him, right? There's nothing wrong with your features. But then he says, well, darker aspects of humanity will disagree, aspects that I have been able to love, the xenophobia, fear, and hatred. All right, I can get behind that, right? Because that's true. Look at this cool form. It's way sleeker, slimmer, like that. He says, my point is, this is not true for the rest of you, and your loss will be well again, right? If you only can accept it, even embrace it. So he also suggests that probably we need to share our secret identities if the powers not come back, because maybe we need to help each other, but since we cannot, communicate normally, like telepathically. Meanwhile, we have Kyle here losing it completely. He's tried to use his willpower, but he doesn't know and how to get it because, he hasn't been rounded up by, going here in the tower with everybody else. Well, Jen here, his girlfriend, say, hey, stop, Kyle. I didn't come back for this. Get a grip. I once had powers too, remember? Losing them wasn't the end of the world, Kyle. I got over it, and so can you. Normal life is worth living. So he says, need something to focus my willpower. Something better than a stupid vase. You have to cope with the loss, Cal. Like going through the stages of death, like shock, denial, anger, grief, and depressions. But finally, acceptance. I just lost the greatest thing anyone could have, Jen. I never accept a loss like that. I keep trying and fighting forever until I die, if that's what it takes. Yeah, he's getting the worst. Well, not sure, because Superman has really a really hard time, well, Clark in this case, because he's, looking at his own videos, helping humanity, right? And then we go to Toyman, who has a beef with Lex Luthor, because, humiliation, all that stuff. And then we go to the villains, right? All the major criminals now have fallen, and now we're the kings. So what's your point, mate? We can finally take it out, Boomerang. By teaming up, he waved, and by moving fast to knock out the only threat still in our way. Yeah, he's not wrong. So, so I don't. Is this the? Did they make Dr. Light younger, or is this another one? I don't know. And what would be that Fred B. may tell? The heroes like us, the ones who never even had real powers. So basically, since they have mostly, I mean, that's true. DC villains have mostly all technological powers. I mean, as you can see here, you know, like Captain Cold, Cyborg Superman, right? So basically, he says, hey, we need to work together now, and they got some clients and offers, and they, you know, want to take all of them and, you know, make bank. Well, Lois tried to talk to Clark, but Clark has a certain similar grief as Kyle, although Kyle is angry. Well, Clark here has, you know, he saw that he failed, that he couldn't help the people, and the people accused him or said, why didn't you could do anything, right? And he says, I was helpless. All I could do was hear, not even listen, just hear. And he only hears the sounds of loss and failure. So Kyle is he's going crazy, man. So he yells at Jen. He said, hey, basically she said, hey, why don't you go see someone? A shrink? Is that what I need? You find one who restores willpower, let me know. Otherwise, leave me the hell alone to work this out my way. And he's throwing his ring away. By all means, Cal, your way is much better. So, and then we see some battle between, you know, these technological villains. And then we see Black Canary, you know, Metal Man, Our Man from the future, Red Tornado, etc. And even Booster Gold and Mr. Fairplay guy. I know that's not his name, but that's how Mr. Terrific, but that's how I like to call him. Then Oracle comes and she has some bad news, right? She says, although the World Scientist Institute's intelligence agencies are abuzz with the cries and speculation, no one seems to know anything concrete. Furthermore, all blacklight information is highly classified. Blacklight is the blip, right? The authorities, you should know, would prefer to deep six the whole matter and simply wash their hands. But why, Oracle? 1,000 reasons, but the bottom line is this. No one in government or intelligence circles is exactly crying over what's happened to you. Which sounds a little bit... I get that, right? She's explained why, but, you know, the superheroes saved the world many, many times over. But the reason for that is, Batman explains, it levels the playing field, putting the power in their hands. Then do you think somehow they did it? If so, the compartmentalized at the top and the grunts simply don't know. But why blame on aliens when there is man? Anyway, so they say. So she says the whole world is baffled. It could remain a mystery or maybe an act of God. If so, let's hope it wasn't designed to strip our powers. So John comes in, says, hey, an act of God can be seen either way, not good or bad, right? And you can see that everyone is down and depressed and doesn't know what to do anymore because they have lost so much. Time passes, old things are set aside. The past had its time. And he's still in his costume and he's just still yelling and still screaming. And he says, well, there's maybe some crack or flaw in the ring, right? And then Jen, we have Toyman doing some stuff here. And we see Henry doing some stuff here, repairing his armor suit. But then the news says there is a news bulletin. LexCorp complex is under attack by none other than, we see this This is a cool shot, by the way. I like that, right? So our hero comes, flies, and then we also see Linda Danvers, who is Supergirl, and she, says, "Hey, I want to be a cop," and ask her dad, right? So she wants to be in his footsteps. So there is some people, some superheroes then are trying to be better, right? To make themselves useful. Meanwhile, in Metropolis, Toyman has a giant robot here attacking, I believe, LexCorp, I don't know, headquarters, or maybe just a tower, or maybe just random people. Oh, it's LexCorp here. And the carnage looks great. And Lex Luthor says, "Come on, you overblown twitch, show me something." And Toyman is screaming, "You're mine, Luthor. Your bald scalp is bound for my belt." But then, oh, wait, a figure in the sky. Has Superman somehow regained his... No, it looked like, yes, it is. It's the cybernetic hero known as Steel, and perhaps the Earth's most powerful being. No, not really. Anyway, so he's coming in using his thrusters to damage the robot. Again, looks good, but he's getting a lick from the robot, with Gatling fingers. He's shooting and blasting the armor. But also, he's using the hammer to destroy the robot. But, in doing that, he has rebroken his arm again, and the suit cannot compensate for internal damage. Toyman noticed that, and he's using a pile driver to smack him away into the wall, right? And then also shooting two rockets at him. And just like that, the tide has turned, with the Nightmare robot now seizing up the upper hand, flailing Steel through the sky like a broken doll. And now, Mr. Steel Wreckage, you're slag. So he noticed that the suit is damaged, so he wants to get away, because of the damage the rockets can do. So he evades one rocket, but he's too slow, and there's heat seekers on the rockets, and this looks great, because it's really, flying into his back and an explosion, and you see this around, and a hit. Oh, he's hit. The robot has scorched a mid-air direct hit. Steel is going down. A human comet trailing his own flames, right? So then the robot comes in, and he says, "Oh no, the monster robot is not done yet." As hard as it is to watch, it's impossible to look away. The robot is raising as an orbit, boot high above the tiny helpless hero as it means to, perfect. Soon they be begging me to step in and do something. They give me anything, agree to whatever I want, if only I put an end to scenes like this. Best of all, Toyman actually thinks he has me. And you, Superman, who are you now? Or where are you now? So Superman sees what's happening. The robots just crushed Steel. A shocking tragedy, difficult to face. And who will stand up for us now that all the mighty has fallen? And now that the valiant man known as Steel is dead. Wow. And that leads us to the next issue. I really like this, but on the other hand, like I said, the longer I read this, and also to the end, it made me a little bit depressive, because normally in superhero comics you have some kind of hope, right? And but that hope is completely gone. It's just all misery and depression, and it leads to part 2 that we're going to review tomorrow. So stick around so you can see where this is going. So guys, thank you so much for watching as always. I'll see you next time. Bye.